Well, we're back, and welcome to the Daily Space Weather Show. Having taken the first vacation that we've taken in nearly 6 years. So that was the most days we ever missed in a row, and it looks like the sun took a little break at the same time we did. Coincidence? Is there anything random in the universe? Well, let us know what you think in the comments. And yeah, look at what's going on up there in that northeastern polar region. Massive plasma filament hanging out up there, and it still is to this point. That was the SDO. Here's the GOES 16 SUVI. It's a little bit better at showing those prominences at the SDO, but let's cut to some more imagery here. We may be shortening the video a little bit today. There's the full northern polar region. Really the entire northern half. There's your equatorial zoom. We've got a large number of plasma filaments on the Earth side of the solar disk, a little uptick in sunspot number. And yeah, besides that, things are pretty chill when it comes to space weather. Now you will see some huge plasma filaments, including one kind of underneath and north of our Earth scale there. And we'll talk more about that in a moment, but first, let's take a look at some more imagery. Now, of course, we were off for nearly a week, so let's catch up. And by the way, don't forget to press the like button if you enjoy the Smash News Network least busted name in news. So there's the past week of activity there. That's 171 angstroms, plus the colorized magnetogram from SDO. Ah, yes. So yeah, things have been quite low activity. But the activity is increasing, and that's a good thing, because with the eclipse coming, we want to see things like prominences and, of course, sunspots near the limbs. That's really very important, seeing sunspots near the limbs, because basically the moon acts like a coronagraph obscurement disk, and that allows you to see aspects of the corona that you would not be able to see before, but there have to be features there, or there's not a lot to see. So yeah, a little bit of activity kicking up here. It looks like it'll be a little bit better than it was a few days ago for Monday's colossally overrated eclipse. It's people think it's the end of days, folks. Oh, it crosses 7 cities called Salem and Nineveh. As if that's not arbitrary, since the people who built the cities named them after the biblical story. Anyway, getting on to volcanoes, Fernandina volcano is getting its lava pretty close to the sea there, expecting some lava haze when it does indeed reach the ocean. Fernandina volcano in the Galapagos Islands. And as far as Iceland, well, it's still erupting. But it looks like it is slowly slowing down there. So the lava flow there decreasing as the cinder cone gets higher and higher. New real estate there at Iceland. Here's a zoomed out. And that is happening right now. And these are what else? These are the other volcanoes that are currently erupting. We've got Luotobi, Semeru, Merapi, Fernandina, Santiaguido, Fuego, Poas, and Sabancaya. As far as earthquake activity, there's been quite a lot of it, and some of it's been pretty funky. Like a 4.7 in New Jersey. Not so common. So now volcanodiscovery.com is saying that volcanic activity is moderate. It looks pretty high to me. Look at all the volcanoes over the past 24 hours, especially in the western Pacific, but really all around the Pacific Rim, including aftershocks in New Jersey. We'll call out the quakes of 5 and greater magnitude, like this 5.4 at Japan, a 5.0 at Taiwan, a 5.0 at China. Looks like very high levels of earthquake activity to me. That's a lot of quakes showing up there on the map. A 5.0 in the East Pacific Rise. Indonesia had a 5.0. Taiwan had a 5.2. So quite a lot of quakes there. Papua New Guinea had a 5.1. And let's get back to space before we show that. Let's take a look at some 171 angstroms. from SDO. That's the house favorite wavelength. That's another 24-hour video at 30 FPS. Not half bad. And we see multiple new active regions there rising in the east. Again, that's a good thing for Eclipse viewers, as the more features that there are in the corona, the better the viewing for the eclipse. You want to see features. That makes it a lot more worthwhile to view. In other words, a solar eclipse around solar maximum is vastly superior to a total solar eclipse around solar minimum because of the things I just mentioned. So anyway, heading to some space weather stats here. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux is now at 123, I think it is. And check it out, sunspot number here below 80. So if you're spooked of low sunspot numbers, well, now's the time to get in your bunker, I suppose. However, no space weather on the way, so things are pretty modest out there, according to NOAA, and the ESA tends to agree. Now, there have been some CMEs headed in the opposite direction, just none toward Earth. So check out this Enlil spiral here from the European Space Agency. Multiple CMEs there on the far side, as there are some highly active regions on the opposite of the Earth side of the sun. So here are the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space, and it is pretty calm out there, pretty calm. Solar wind here only the slightest bit elevated. Not very exciting at the moment. So that's the past 4 hours of magnetohydrodynamic pressure to about 12 Earth diameters. Here's magnetic flux density at the ground level. The full Earth view. These are the likely changes happening in Earth's B field as a result of, well, a lot of different factors. The electron flux, the magnetic field, the solar wind density, the solar wind velocity, and so on. Again, things are geomagnetically calm. KP 1.67. KP 1.67 is the current state of global geomagnetism. As far as solar wind parameters go, pretty chill. The ACE is showing 2.5 protons per cubic centimeter at 450 kilometers a second, and the Discover is showing quite a bit denser there at 7 protons per cubic centimeter. Similar speeds, 450 kilometers per second. The rest of that is pretty unremarkable. The GOES magnetometers there have seen some pretty significant variations, as we have seen some variations in the solar wind for the past 3 days, but anyway, there you go. There's the data. Cheers. Earth remains in a North Pole magnetic sector, along with stereo A and B. North Pole magnetic sector. So here is our line of sight field plot, showing the solar B field in blue, the polar fields in red for south and green for north, and the photosphere magnetism in grayscale. North Pole magnetic sector right now. And there are some South Pole-oriented coronal holes rotating in here that we can see in our line-of-sight coronal hole plot. These images depict the past 4 days. And next we'll switch to coronal holes from the perspective of SDO. So there you go. There are the 211 angstrom of wavelength data. And you can expect coronal holes to continue for years, but especially for the next year, because we are still behind schedule on coronal hole production. The number of coronal holes we've seen in this solar cycle have been extraordinarily low, especially the equatorial kind, which are the most geo-effective. So expect plenty of space weather coming from coronal holes in the coming solid year. Next, we'll get to sunspots. Sunspots, sunspots, wherefore art thou sunspots? Less than 80 sunspots are the current sunspot number. There you go. There's the Royal Observatory of Belgium sunspot number. And we do have multiple groups here. So I'm counting 7 groups right now on the solar flare scoreboard. And we do have some chance of solar flare activity. I think there may be something fixing to happen up there in that northeastern limb, which would be your upper left. Let's take a look at sunspots from SDO. What's up with that? What's up with that SDO? All right, there you go. So a little bit of an uptick in sunspot number and so on for the past couple of days there. Yeah, we've been off for like just about a week. I didn't keep track. Again, the first vacation in nearly 6 years of daily space weather content production. Anyway, headed back to some more data here. What do we got next? Energetic particles and solar flares are next. Goes proton flux here is flatlined. The X-ray flux here is at below a B5 background flux. And a little bit of flaring happening here just in the past few minutes. And I'm not sure where those came from, but we'll take a look here a little bit later in the video. And before we take a look at that, let's take a look at... There's 94 plus 131 angstroms. Another 24-hour SDO video at 30 frames per second. Next, let's chill a little bit and take a look at a star chart. So that's what's going on in the solar system right now. Here's your 1-week solar system forecast courtesy of theplanetstoday.com. Mercury swinging past will be at opposition or conjunction or whatever it's called in about a week. Mercury there, showing up on this lonely side of the solar system. Next, a star chart. Just press now once you've put in your location at skyandtelescope.org's fantastic star chart. And if you're viewing the morning sky, you should get a great view of Venus. If you're viewing the pre-sunrise sky there, Venus pretty high in the sky right now. The third brightest object visible from planet Earth. Next is M51, and this is an extrapolated image where somebody has unwrapped the spiral arms of the galaxy for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what it is. It's the unwinding of M51. Somebody took that galaxy and applied a logarithmic coordinate math to it and made the spiral arms straight instead because reasons. And let's move on to coronal mass ejections. So there are 67 frames from today, and it has been chill. But again, like I said, we do have a lot of plasma filaments on the Earth side of the solar disk right now, so the likelihood of Earth-directed CMEs is actually very high. So, whoa, what is up with that? Why is it showing... Look at the amount of information it's showing. It's showing like a whole week now? What's up with that? That is, I don't know what's up with that. What up with that? What up with that? So here are some more recent images there. That's starting at the 5th. That would be yesterday, late in the day. And you'll see that there has not been a lot going on as far as coronal mass ejections. So, keep in mind, folks, you don't need to see sunspots or solar flares to see coronal mass ejections. They happen all the time, including at solar minimum. So, but lots of filaments right now pointed at Earth. Let's see what it looks like from the perspective of stereo A. So there's where it's located. Stereo A represented by that red dot way over there. Stereo B, the little closer blue dot. And there was a CME at like 1800 Universal Time yesterday. It came out of the southwest, and it's not likely consisting of any earthly directed components. Since then, not a lot going on, which increases the likelihood of significant CME activity. A lot. A lot. So, here are our custom coronagraphs, And again, you'll see that it's pretty uneventful out there right now in between Earth and space. In between Earth and Sun, I should say. And of course, on the channel, we bring you the weather from the lower 48 all the way to the photosphere, and sometimes even beyond. So there are some more great synced images for you there showing that not a lot of plasma headed in Earth's direction. The sun has gone back to plasma miser mode. So that is 304 angstroms plus 193 angstroms 60-minute running difference. And let's move to filaments because, like I said, there are indeed a lot of major filaments pointed right at Earth. So here's the filament view. And look at the size of that V-shaped filament. Huge filament over there in the northeast. That one's definitely worthy of a name, but there are multiple filaments here. And, yeah, I mean, that's about a dozen large plasma filaments on the Earth side of the disk. And some very, very dense filaments there as well. So some very dense ones and some very large ones. And a few very large, dense ones. So, yeah, likelihood of CMEs nearly 100% moving forward in the next 24 hours. So there's one likely to be happening right now. Huge crown prominence there. That is not likely to be earthly directed. And folks, a prominence is simply when a filament is hanging off the edge of the solar disk from Earth's perspective. It's really not any different than a filament. It's just that perspective means a lot when it comes to astronomy subjects. Things can be a little bit deceptive unless you have got perspective. So here come bonus features, starting out with charging hazards. What do you got? None. No charging hazards. Things are chill for satellites. And here are the rest of our bonus features. The GOES electron flux is next. That's the past 3 days. There's the past year of electron flux. Coming back off this lengthy lull that we had. We had like a 4-month-long, extremely low electron flux there. But now things are returning back to more normal levels. There's the NOAA forecast represented by the green boxes. And here's the layer where it's measured. This is some very diffuse gas shaking at 1 million vibrations per second at the F layer. Make sure you check out our video from earlier today. We put out the latest Ask a Particle Physicist segment. There is a playlist for it, so check out youtube.com/smashomash/playlists if you haven't. All conveniently organized in there into 17 segments, I think it is. 17 segments, something like that. And so, yeah, there's the vibrational frequency of the ionosphere. The F flare is at about 300 kilometers. And we actually have quite a lot of low-frequency anomaly here, so this is actually a little surprising, considering how calm space weather has been. So quite a lot of red, indicating low-frequency anomaly. It depicts anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. So most of the action there in the northern hemisphere, as you may expect, it is, after all, spring in the north. And we're almost to meteorology. We've got some interesting weather forecasts coming. First, a global ionosphere nowcast. And if you're not sure what we're showing here, just leave a comment. We do read all comments, even if we are unable to respond to them all, and we've got some great viewers who often respond to other viewers' comments, so thanks to everybody who does that. We consider the process to be a collaborative effort. So there's a sunspot scenario. Again, we do have some active regions rising here. I did not see sunspots in that northeastern group. But down here there is one new sunspot that's at least beta class. So sunspot number here will continue to rise into tomorrow, assuming things don't rapidly degrade, but so far they've been pretty steady for the past 24 hours. And let's move to meteorology, starting with the surface winds of the east. There are your jet streams. Shout out to our viewers from Munda. To quote Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it's like being showered with evil, only from underneath. It's like a bidet of evil. There are the jet streams of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. There are the surface winds of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Strong low in between Scotland and Iceland right now. There are the surface winds of the Western world. Strong low there over the central U.S., just east of the Rockies. And there are the jet streams. A broad and strong jet stream there, crossing the Atlantic, making for some fast flights if you're on your way to Europe, or indeed Africa. Next, our satellite imagery. Ah, yes. Good stuff. The visible satellite, folks. Congratulations on surviving another winter. It is now light enough for when we make these videos to include the visible satellite. Fantastic. Now let's take a look at new snow forecast. Check it out. That's the next 3 days on the Euro model. And there are the next 3 days on the GFS model. Euro model, next 3 days of new snow. GFS model. Euro, GFS. Here's our weather.gov map. And a bunch of warnings there. Several different types of warnings. Weather.gov is where to get yours if your location is lit on the map. Those are a little bit too many counties for us to cover. There are some serious weather warnings there, including winter weather warnings. So here comes some forecasts. The GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation. And pictures speak 1,000 words, so I'll just let that speak for itself. Total accumulated precip is next. Same model, GFS 72-hour. Precipitation totals shown here in inches. Since a lot of that precipitation will be snow, Wyoming is going to get kaplastered. Some areas seeing nearly 2 feet in the coming 3 days. GFS 72-hour accumulated positive snow depth change in inches. And last but not least, temperature anomaly forecast. Same model, GFS 72-hour. Degrees are in Celsius units. So big warming trend coming to mainly east of the Mississippi here in about 3 days. And it's going to be making its way across the eastern U.S., while the western U.S. is staying mostly anomalously cold. Next, lightning. There's our strike energy density map, and we also have the visible satellite there. It's faded down so you can see the clouds. Group energy discharge density right there is what we're showing. And we do have some lightning strikes in the U.S. right now, it looks like. A large squall line there happening. Some concentrated storms that are probably going to be rather short-lived as they are moving north. Maybe a little bit of training happening there in Nebraska and South Dakota. Oh, check it out. We've got a strong cell kicking up right there. Right near O'Neill Airport. Strong cell rapidly develops as we produce the video. Looks like the U.S. is the lightning capital of the world right now. And here are the weather systems that are producing it. Rapid City, well, the majority has already passed the heaviest storms, but there's still a lot of heavy rain headed your way. So, but the strongest thunderstorms have made their way past you. So here is our full map. We'll focus on the lower 48. Visible satellite, as that low hangs out off the coast of Cape Cod. So that low off of Cape Cod there, that is the one that everybody hated all week. It brought rain to the eastern part of the U.S. all week, basically, and it's still lingering there. So why don't you join me in giving it the finger? Low, low, go away. Head to Scotland or something. Here's your recap. Vertical motion in the air column is what Doppler radar is depicting. Visible satellite, as if you took a black and white series of images from atop the GOES satellite, from like 23,500 miles of altitude. And there's the water vapor map. It shows the moist air. It shows the dry air. It shows the water vapor. So, yeah, and that's where this video closes out. And so, because, it's time to head back to the bunker, as I'll be definitely locking myself in the bunker on Monday for the entire day. So, but we'll be back again tomorrow to produce the daily space weather content. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back.